What's up, guys? Pre-game Twirl, episode 11. Here with our first in-person guest with Reagan Ross, one of the top hockey influencers in the world right now. Reagan, how you doing today?
Not too shabby. I just got
What an intro.
Yeah.
Woody.
Hey, I mean, that's red carpet treatment. You're our first in-person guest, and we've had JR, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
We've had Lane Hudson, BU. We've had B. Galley, 11 years.
We wanted
Jason
to come
Demers.
in hot with the first woman
Absolutely.
on the podcast. So
Absolutely.
we got a big hockey influencer.
Absolutely.
Right, Rusty? Huh? Let's go.
So one sneaky fun fact about Rusty is born and raised Mississippi,
Yep.
right? And you're the first college hockey player out of Mississippi. Is that correct?
I think women's.
Women's, okay.
Yeah.
And how many rinks, like, kind of talk to us about, like, what is it like playing hockey in Mississippi? Like, how many rinks is there? Just go on about it.
Yeah, there was one rink growing up, and that started out like 5 minutes from my house, and that's where the semi-pro team, the Memphis River Kings, played. And then they started rec league when I was 5 years old, so my sister and I joined. They said there's gonna be tons of girls. It was 3 of us girls and 30 boys. And then we went from there. But once I got into high school, then they made a new rink, so a lot of the parents banded together and then built a rink in a warehouse about 45 minutes away.
But why hockey? Mississippi, the only thing I know about is Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Right?
Ole Miss, football,
Miss.
baseball, big stuff.
Mississippi State. But why hockey? How'd you get into it?
Yeah, I played probably every single sport imaginable. I was playing 5 sports in high school, and then I was asked by the basketball coach. He was like, okay, either you give up hockey and you join varsity, or you stay on JV and you get to play hockey. I was like, I'll stay on JV.
So the travel is crazy.
Yeah.
If obviously those states that you're going to play competitive hockey, you're traveling all over the freaking country. Mom and dad bring you everywhere. How's that work?
Yeah, my mom was wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, 12 hours
Yeah.
everywhere. Normally we would play boys every other weekend, and then girls whenever we weren't playing boys. And so those drives were normally about 4 to 5 hours for the boys, and then the girls were in Detroit, Minnesota. We went to Boston, Pittsburgh, all those places, so 12 plus hours.
I know Woody's got a bunch of questions. I am excited to have you on here. I know you really well now. I consider you a friend. And
I'm honored.
but before we even get into the hockey questions and stuff and more about your path, we got to talk about the following on Instagram, and we got to talk about you just becoming one of the better known women's hockey influencers. I shouldn't even say women's hockey. I just say hockey influencers. And yesterday, we are live at our camp here in Northfield, Vermont. Yesterday, the girls are lining up, getting an autograph, taking pictures with you. Pretty cool. I know you've worked your butt off to get to this point. It's not easy doing influencer stuff on all the platforms. So just tell us how that all started.
It was kind of random. I was that kid in college that just deleted their Instagram. Like, I was never on it whatsoever. I like to be in the moment with all my teammates and everything. And then it was during COVID. I was in San Diego and I was getting bored with like my job. So I was like, all right, let's see what TikTok's all about. And I had refused to be on TikTok for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then it was July 2020, and I was like, let's see what my BU degree can do, because I had a marketing degree. And so I was testing some theories.
So up until that point, you hadn't even really been on any platforms?
No, I would always delete it. Yeah.
Wow.
So when you, like, I know you're going to give us the full story, but when you first got going, like, were you posting like 2 times a day, or was it just like one video that kind of just popped off and you're like, hey, like, maybe I got something there?
I started posting once a day. I think I did that for like 2 weeks, and I think my second video got like 60, 70,000 views.
Yeah.
And it was
What
me
was
telling a story about my ear getting blown off by a one-timer
No
in
way.
college. Yeah.
And
So I
then-
got 15 stitches in my ear from that.
And everyone just went bananas on the video.
Yeah, it was like some satire video that I ended up just clipping at the very beginning. He was like, hockey's not a real sport. And then he was like, equestrian or something like that. And so I started telling my story, showed some of the pictures. They were pretty, and people went wild over it.
That's so crazy. And it anyways, back to the camp, like everyone's lining up, getting your autographs. I want pictures with you. Is it, and I know now, at least in the last couple of years, you've been getting invited to all the NHL events, the draft, the Winter Classics. There's a lot of people that want your time, and that's just because of the social media, really, right? I mean, you have an amazing hockey path, but the social media is so powerful, and like moving forward, like you got to be super creative on it. Do you have some ideas for how you're going to keep building it, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
A little bit of both. Like
Yeah.
right now, it's kind of hard too being a D1 coach because I post like I'm a Division I athlete. Like I had to be very careful about what I post
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Because obviously like represents BU. I do think I'm gonna get into some long form content starting in September. So
Like what's that?
like on YouTube, yeah. So
Yeah.
longer form vlogs, everything
Yeah.
along those lines. And then I have like some ideas that I want to pitch, but I'm waiting for the right moment to do that. So I'm not gonna like go into that right now, but that's where we're at.
Or you might squeeze it out of you.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know if you'll get
it's
there.
pretty cool because it's like you look at Coach Chippy, you look at on the bench. Like on the bench, they're 30-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Are they high 20, 30? I mean, they're playing floor hockey for videos, and they got like 500K followers.
crazy.
You got Coach Chippy, who's like reenacting guys in the locker room, and then you got Pete and Pavel Barber doing like their trick shots. So it's kind of cool how you guys all the top hockey influencers kind of bring something different to the table. And the followings, like I've been with, and you have the same status based off, I haven't been to any events with you. I know Tori has, but like I went to with Pete to Washington Capitals game, and I tell my buddies this all the time because I don't think people in Vermont realize how big he is. Like I walked in there, you would have thought I walked in the barn with Patrick Kane.
I know.
And every
yeah.
second I'm taking pictures of him and this kid. Like you guys,
It's like
I
that.
compare it
The
like
little girls go bananas. When they
bananas.
see her.
Like you guys are almost like top 6. Every one of yours is like top 6 NHL players as far as fame goes. It's like insane.
But I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. Pete and Rusty can back it up with the playing careers.
oh,
you know?
absolutely.
So that hits different for me, and I know they all have
Absolutely.
their platforms and fans and stuff, but having the playing career just hits a little different for
Yeah,
me.
it's really funny going recruiting now too. Because
Yeah.
I'll have parents come up to me, I'll have like little girls, and they'll be like, wait, I follow you on TikTok. I watched every single one of your videos last night. I was like, probably should have been sleeping instead.
cool.
But yeah, it's
So
really,
in your recruiting videos, they're like a little starstruck, possibly like
Yeah.
a 17, 18-year-old girl that you're recruiting has been following you.
I've been messaged on Instagram to get a scholarship. I've been emailed saying, I watched all your videos, like I follow you on Instagram. And it's actually so funny to see now.
That's
Like they'll come up to me at
unbelievable.
PWHL games. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So now that you're talking about recruiting, so obviously you played at BU, Beanpot Hall, right? Beanpot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
He's just like, yeah.
And now you're the assistant coach at BU,
Yes.
right? So kind of talk to us before we talk about like your coaching career, like once again, like you being in Mississippi, like how did you get connected to playing college hockey in the East Coast? You started out in RIT?
Mm-hmm.
Like how did you get connected to these schools? Like like for us, you look at, we're out of Vermont, like it's so hard to get exposure out of Vermont. So a lot of people have to leave, the areas and play New England prep school to get that kind of exposure. Like what was the exposure process like for you being out of Mississippi? Like you said, like you're the first
Yeah.
woman hockey. You're the first Mississippi hockey. When Tori, I was on
Like
the phone
native,
with him
yeah, for
today, I'm
sure.
like,
Ridiculous.
listen, give me anything you got on. Like I'm trying to prepare for this podcast because we're in the process of building something, hopefully getting a following like
special,
yourself.
Rusty.
No,
And he was like, I'm like, well, where is she from? And he's like, Mississippi. And I was like, did I hear that right? Like, I've never met a hockey player out of Mississippi. So just kind of talk about, like, what was the exposure process like out of Mississippi?
Yeah, it's funny you say Mississippi too because, or like
Am I
you might
butchering
no,
it?
you might have stumbled
Okay.
like the very beginning. You're
Oh.
about to say like Mississauga or something
Yeah.
because every single time I got announced when I was at
Missisquoi.
RIT, the people would be like, "Oh, from Minnesota," and I was like, "I'm not Minnesota," or they'd go from Michigan. I was like, "That's not MS. MS is Mississippi."
Well, it's hilarious you said that 'cause
crazy.
you're
Yeah.
right. At the beginning, I almost said Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It really is.
No,
crazy.
yes.
You're like, from where? Oh, you must. I'm like, when she told me that originally, I was like, oh, you're just.
Yeah.
She was born there.
Yeah.
No, she's born and raised there. Played
Yeah.
youth hockey there.
Yeah. And nobody in my family played either, so
Yeah.
it was like I was kind of learning everything along the way, and I'm lucky to have really good coaches down
Yeah.
in Mississippi, surprisingly
Clearly.
enough.
Really.
Some actually really good coaches, yeah. And so whenever I was down there, I played all the way through middle school, then decided to play AAA hockey, and we tried out. First year I made it, I was getting benched like every third period, and I was like, I think I'm gonna quit.
Yeah.
Because the coach, like, I wasn't having fun anymore, and this was like 8th grade, and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And then all of a sudden we got a new coach, and it was a female coach, my first female coach ever, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And became a captain that year. Like, I started to thrive. And so my first year of high school, I played in Mississippi. Then I went to prep school in Lake Placid, New York. And then that almost shut down halfway through the year.
Everyone at your high school is like, you play what?
Yeah,
You're
basically.
like, yeah, I'm going to hockey practice after
Yeah.
school today, and they have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
because they knew me as playing basketball, tennis,
Right. So
swimming, all those things.
We're going back to the other sports.
Yeah.
Your quick flex. I'm gonna help
Quick
you.
flex.
I'm gonna help you quick flex. It sounds like you're a freak athlete.
Yeah, I was
Everything,
pretty good in
everything.
high school.
Wait,
Yeah.
did
Sorry,
you,
keep going
Did you
with
go
your
to
story.
Northwood?
No, I went to National Sports Academy.
Okay, and that's in Lake
Lake
Placid,
Placid.
It
Yeah,
was,
okay.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
no longer around. It's actually
Those
a hotel
were the two
now.
big ones in Lake
Okay.
Placid. Yeah.
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 But we were
Rivals.
sick. We won like over 50-something games that year.
Wow.
And we had, I don't even know how many Olympians, probably 5 or 6. I think
Yeah.
12 or 15 of us went D1.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine how good our team was, we were pretty phenomenal. And then anyways, it shut down the following year.
I love the flexes. Let's go.
Well, the teammates, it wasn't just me. It was like all of them.
Yeah.
I sucked back then. I was a really late bloomer.
Wait, so how, if you guys had 15 commits, how is this program not still going?
It was good. It was good.
53
Like,
kids
Oh.
in the
So
entire
I-
school.
she was after me, but NSA was still kind of a thing when Northwood. I was kind of looking at Northwood a little bit, and then I got a little package from
you?
NSA, and they were semi decent.
Yeah.
Semi decent. Not as good as Northwood, like in the early 2000s, but they had put some guys D1.
Yeah.
And
Lake
girls,
Placid
obviously.
is-
The women's program was
I'm
good.
jealous you went to high school in Lake Placid.
Oh my God,
I
it was.
love it.
We actually would watch Miracle and Bridesmaids
Yeah.
every single day, and Project X. Those were
Yeah.
our 3 movies. We would bring them on every single road trip.
Yeah.
We did not care. But then it was so funny. There was like one day we were probably, I think it was like 15 minutes late. He was like, for every minute you guys are late, we're doing a suicide. We're like, and so we were on the line. I almost passed out. I almost had to go to the hospital because I had like
Olympic
asthma.
rank, too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
They'd make us run the stairs up and down. We'd snake it. And then one day we did like a full Herbie, like all the way around, touch, go like, I don't even know how many
Yeah.
suicides it was.
So he was hard on you. the
Yeah.
coach.
Oh yeah,
But-
he was tough. We got better though, that's for sure. But it was like making the jump from 14U AAA to 19U AAA, which was like really challenging at the time. But on my team, Denisa Krzyzova, who just won with the PWHL Minnesota, she's on Czech national team. But she was my teammate. I just passed her. She'd go down and score. It was
She was
perfect.
just sick.
Yeah, she was so sick.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your time at RIT a
Mm.
little bit. Obviously good enough to get noticed, to get transferred to a bigger, better hockey school
Yeah.
in BU. But let's go back to freshman year. You get there.
Mhm.
I don't know what your expectations are, but obviously go on to play professional hockey afterwards. But let's talk about year one at RIT. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I had no expectations going in there. I knew I wanted to play, but I also knew I was like, okay, freshmen always have to do their time. And because of that experience in 8th grade, just getting benched, I was like, all right, I think I can handle it. And so for the first 7 games, I was on the 4th line, never played. And I maybe got like a couple of shifts, but I was playing forward. So whenever I got recruited, it was like my first game senior year ever playing defense. And he saw me as an offensive defenseman. And that's how I got recruited to play D1. I didn't get recruited as a forward, as a defenseman. So I started forward, and then somebody went down, got injured, like that 7th or 8th game. And then all of a sudden, I go back on D. And then I was first line D ever since.
You
that
just
point.
crushed it, right? It felt natural.
Yeah, I was way better defenseman.
And then like
That's cool.
because like back in the day, when not that you're old, but like when you used to
She's,
transfer, like
she's getting up
there
there
in
in age a little bit, you
I'm
know?
just saying, like
Trying to catch up to you.
we
Yeah, right. Asians don't crack
Oh,
like that.
I'm not going there. I ain't going there.
we covered it a little bit with college hockey. Now, like the transfer portal is an absolute zoo, and you can transfer for free. Like, did you have a transfer like penalty where you had to sit out a little bit when you went to BU?
So back then they didn't have a portal. I didn't even know how to transfer at the
Oh.
time. I was too scared to go talk to the coach
Yeah.
and ask for my release because he was, we're friends now, but it was a little
Yeah.
sensitive. So I went to the assistant athletic director and asked him to send my transcript to, I think, like 7 different schools to like throw them off my trail of where I wanted to go
Yeah.
because I was scared.
Yeah.
And it was the day before spring break. So I'm not going to say he was a little, he had his things, all right? And so we lost 3 days off, and then we started spring training. We had 3 days off from playoffs and started
Yeah.
spring training, and he made us do like all types of testing. And you're supposed to have like a full week or 2 off.
Or a month.
Yeah, or a month. No,
No.
3 days. And we got into testing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to crush it and then I'm going to leave. So I crushed every single one. I was like #1 in every single lifting, running, whatever.
Rusty.
Should, like,
Keep going, Rusty.
I know,
Let's
I
go.
love it. I did know she was a really good athlete. I
Yeah.
didn't know that she was
Oh, no, I'm competitive. That's why.
that too.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I know.
And
Feel
so that happened.
We are gonna
but
arm wrestle
he-
at the end of
He
this.
would print out the sheet every single day with our names. So the top 3 would be in green, then it'd be yellow, and then the bottom 5 would be in red. So I never wanted to get out of that green because I was just scared of him. We were all kind of scared of him. So then I went to go ask my release. It was last day before spring break. And then I had to go walk into his office. And when I walked into the office, it was it was scary.
That's
Yeah.
intimidating for
I-
a college kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went and told him, I was like, like I really appreciate the opportunity like you gave me here. It's been really hard for me to transition. I've tried a lot of different things like branching out, all that stuff. He was like, leave your gear, get out. I was like, oh, okay. And so,
You already had BU lined up at that point.
no, I had nothing left out at that point. Literally nothing. I was
That's
like, well,
ballsy.
yeah.
That is ballsy.
I was told that there might be a spot for me somewhere else, but that wasn't confirmed whatsoever. And so when I went to go do that, I had like reached out to all my old coaches. So going back to that 9th grade coach that I had, my first
Yeah.
female coach, she ended up reaching out to BU for me after I asked for my release. And the one game that they could watch, I don't know if it was on Instat or something, we lost 7-1 to Providence, but I didn't get scored on. And
So they were interested.
they were
Wow.
interested.
After that.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And then that's when the talks happened with BU. And I was actually supposed to go to Merrimack, but they said, yeah, we have $5,000 for you. I was like,
Yeah, no thanks.
I got a single mom from Mississippi. I can't even afford RIT. So
Yeah.
No.
then BU offered me like 75% and it ended up turning into a full ride by the end of my senior year. So like I got both my years free. I just had to earn it.
Right. Sick. I do want to go. So, tell us about the 2 years at BU. Obviously, like probably are they the 2 best hockey years of your life?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean,
They
you
were
were
sick.
you were a leader. You were, great teams in contention for national championships. Like just that in itself, I already know it was fun, but I still want to ask you the question, like,
Yeah.
how awesome were those 2 years? Terriers, sickest uniforms potentially in college
They are
hockey.
the
I hate
best.
saying that because UVM guy, but they are pretty sweet. But tell us about those 2 years a little bit. Let's dive into it a little bit more. Rusty, come on. Let's
All
go.
right. So I did 4 summer terms there because half my credits didn't transfer over from RIT. And so I like got to meet a lot of the girls whenever I first got there. And the transition was a little tough, I'm not gonna lie. Like it was hard to sleep because I was just so nervous.
Yeah.
Because I knew how great BU was and like the
Yeah.
reputation and had been top 10. Poulin had just been there like a couple years
Yeah.
prior. And so I was like, I don't want to go in and like mess up.
Right.
And so like for the first summer terms, like it was just me kind of getting used to the girls. And I'd say that first season we didn't really do too hot. It was probably like 14 games, we won 14, 15,
Okay.
which is like not even 500. It was
Yeah.
a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
And then that 3rd year, there was 3 of us captains, and we were like, we're gonna make this the best year ever. And we ended up going over 20 wins. I think, 20 wins, bean pot, all that stuff. But it was
Sick.
pretty incredible winning the bean pot because we had a curse for so long. They hadn't won since 1980 something, 1983.
Wow.
Yeah,
BU women had not won since the early 80s,
it had been 40
Okay.
years since we had won.
and that's
Yeah,
how you got up
we
in
had
the
this.
hall.
Yeah, we had the same amount of bean pots as Brown.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brown had the same amount of bean pots as us for 40 years. They had only subbed in for 1 year back in like the 80s, 90s, and they won it. So
That's
yeah.
unbelievable. I don't know if you got one, but I'm gonna follow up with you did send me your Wikipedia, even though I knew a lot about you already.
No, you
I
have
did.
super
I knew
information.
Mississippi, and that's all I needed going into this interview, because I knew we could run with that for a while. But I do want to ask about because I talked to you for a hot second off the air just about 2017 World Championships. And this is kind of like in the middle of like women's hockey striking, trying to get more money. At least the American team. I know the Canadian team has had issues as well. But so Team USA strikes, and then USA Hockey goes out and tries to find like another pool of women to form the team for the 2017 World Championships. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you're one of the young ladies that they reach out to, and you said, I'm striking as well. So tell us about that, because there's been, And then Woody, I'm sure is going to jump into a nice little segue, Woody, for you to jump into
Absolutely.
women's hockey taking over
Yeah.
potentially the men's game at
Yeah.
some point. But some very important roles in the men's game. But tell us about that. Just like obviously it was a big moment for women's hockey, and you backed it as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't think it was that deep for us players that said no. I think the biggest thing is like obviously I knew a lot of the girls that were already on Team USA. Like my prep school roommate was on Team USA, and for me, I knew that I wasn't good enough. I didn't earn the spot. That's kind of how we all felt.
Yeah.
So we were just like it was everybody. They had tons of people reaching out to other people, and we just all said no to those people, and that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, I mean,
Everyone stood together type thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty cool too for like them to take a stand because obviously it's helped progress women's hockey. I don't know what if you want to jump into that right now already, but
Rusty, obviously you just got done your first year coaching at BU. You see Jess Campbell about a couple weeks ago got hired by Seattle. And we see obviously there's going to be more women entering the NHL and coaching. Do you have any desire to coach in the NHL?
I don't know about coaching per se, but I have a lot of friends that are right now scouts in the NHL, and I've also my best friend's dad, GM for a very long time with the Pittsburgh Penguins and New Jersey Devils. So I've kind of looked at that route. And Cami Granato, she's been probably one of the first ones to lead the way in the NHL. She's now with Seattle, so I think she's
Haley Wickenheiser.
Is it Haley Wickenheiser? Yeah.
Twirl.
They're all out there, and then even one of my really good friends, Blake Bolden, she's now with the LA Kings as a pro scout. So I look at them more so than anything else because like I like being behind the scenes and on the bench and like everybody seeing me. It's a little nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. But I think like the coaching side in the NHL is just so cutthroat that I don't know if I have the true desire to go on that path.
You want something a little more cushiony, like a maybe college head coaching job one day, or we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, Rusty, thanks so much for coming on. It's good having you.
Oh, yeah. Always a pleasure.
We've developed a good relationship the last couple of years. Woody, you can close us out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously exciting times in women's hockey, and you played like a huge role in it with you being an influencer. And like I said, Jess Campbell, and then you look at the PWHL right now, and it's, every game looks like it's getting packed head to toe. So
Thanks to Rusty.
Thanks to Rusty, and really appreciate you coming on and our first live guest.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. All right.
Thanks, guys.